I just realised. Morning, everyone. Morning. How have I just realised and got that completely wrong? But practice doesn't actually start until past. I could have had an extra half-hour sleep. Only myself to blame, guys. Only myself to blame. Let's change that clock. That timer. $40 until practice starts. Oh no. What have I done? Because I didn't realise that it starts on the half-hour mark. I looked at the TV. I looked at the bloody TV coverage start. Oh God. Oh well, I'm up now. I'm up. Got my coffee. Morning, everyone. Hope you're well. Hope you're well. I can't believe I've done that, though. That's an absolute rookie mistake. So let's just make sure I've got... So sprint qualifying is at 7:30. Okay. I'm pretty sure, though. I'm still pretty sure. When I first looked... I'm going to check this. I'm going to check this because I've got receipts with... the group chat that I'm in. I'm pretty sure it was always 3 AM. Maybe they've slightly pushed it back because of the shipping issues. That might be the reason why. But morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Premature streaming has never happened before. I promise. Yeah. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Just trying to find this. Where did they put it? No. It was always 3:30. Okay. It's my mistake then. Maybe you have enough time to go... get back to B class in Formula. Oh, I know. Well, I've got a plan to get back to B class in Formula, Taco. I will, when I get the opportunity. I will do just the F1 races, because the F1 races are back on iRacing. I'll just do a couple of those, and I'll easily be back up to A license, B license. So, good morning, Patricia, Wonk, Stroller, Dan, TC. Good to see you, Omar, Timo, Max, Violet. Morning to you. You gonna go to sleep, Violet? No worries. Don't blame you. I wish I was still asleep. Genuinely. I've never been this early to a practice session before. Trans-American race. Hey, Trans-American. Oh, sorry. It's a bit early, but we can chat. Of course. I love chatting. Fernando Alonso win? No chance. Oh, but what a week it's been, eh? What a week. It only feels like yesterday we were doing the watch-along for the Australian Grand Prix. Chaotic. And who knows what we've got in store for this weekend at China. It is going to be dry, apparently. It's going to be a dry race, or a dry weekend. But what's interesting is that they've relayed the track, and Pirelli haven't prepared tyres for the track. So it could either be completely, I say boring, it could be completely boring with the tyres where they just don't degrade at all. Or they could completely fall off a cliff. So I've been well, thank you, Violet. Yeah, been very well. So hope you're good too. Early, it's 8 PM. Early, it's nearly 3 AM. It's nearly 3 AM. Oh, it's too early here in the UK. How is that? That's all right. There we go. It was a bit upwards. Morning, Rods. All the way from Thailand. What time is it in Thailand? What are you, 8 hours ahead? 7 hours ahead? So it must be like, what, 9 a.m. for you? Must be nice. 8:51 in Canada. Crazy. Usually it's 3 a.m. Yeah, I know. Look, I said this in Australia. I can't complain too much. I can't complain because in the day, I've still got another weekend. I've got 3 race weekends in a row. Obviously, we've got a break next week, and then we head to Japan the week after, first week of April. But yes, we have. Well, here in the UK, we have 3 early morning races in a row. So at least I'll get a break next weekend, and I don't have to get up again at 2:30, 3 a.m., which is what I'll be doing for Japan. And then I don't have an early race until November in Vegas. So it's not too bad. It's funny to watch F1 in daylight. Hey, Cinefemba. I think I pronounced your name correctly there. Apologies if I didn't. All the way from South Africa. Nice. Timo, you want some sim racing advice. You pulled a muscle a little over 2 weeks ago, so you took time to rest and go back to the gym. However, I'm struggling to get back to the rig. Physically get back to the rig, or just trying to get back to the rig? Take it easy, man. Nothing's as much as I love sim racing. Your health's more important, so. Did I see the crash in F1 Academy? No, I've literally just woken up in the last like 15, 20 minutes. So I haven't seen anything in that regard. What happened? Is F1 Academy here this weekend at China, is it? Let me see if there's anything. Is anything updated from Pirelli as well? Because they were struggling to get their tyres to the track, weren't they? Oh. 35 minutes, yeah. Physically and mentally, Timo. Look, man, I know it's tricky, but you don't want to cause more damage. Like if it's a leg muscle that you've done, obviously we all have, like most of us have. What do we? Oh God, I've drawn a blank. Load cell pedals. Like you can put a lot of stress through your leg. So I know it's tough, but you need to just take it easy, man. Rest in peace, Eddie Jordan. Yes, rest in peace, Eddie Jordan, everyone. Sad news yesterday, but of course, Eddie, who had said that unfortunately he was struggling with quite an aggressive cancer. And yeah, confirmed that he passed away yesterday morning. I had noticed that he hadn't been, not that I really listened to it, but it pops up on my YouTube suggested videos. His podcast that he did with David Coulthard, and I noticed that he hadn't been on that for quite some time. So obviously he had taken a little bit of a turn for the worse, and yeah, seems to be. But that's the reason why. Why is that cat making noise? Unbelievable. So yeah, sad because he was a character, wasn't he? Wasn't afraid to speak his mind as well, and we need. The world's a sadder place for him going, so, but may he rest in peace. You saw a YouTube vid that said McLaren got a mini DRS thing banned. Is that true? It's not McLaren who got it banned. It's Red Bull who got it banned. Red Bull getting their pants in a twist over it. Yes, complaining to the FIA, and that is why they have ended up, investigating it. However, we are talking a gap going from 2mm to supposedly from 2mm to 0.5. I think it is gap wise. So whether or not it's that effective compared to, if whether or not that is the sole performance advantage that McLaren has over the rest of the field, I don't subscribe to. It helps, no doubt, but I can't believe that that is the sole reason why they were quicker in Australia. Like, that little mini DRS thing isn't going to help with... That's going to help with top speed more so than anything else, to gain extra speed in the straights. And where McLaren's strength was last weekend and at Albert Park was the fact that they could manage their tyres throughout the duration of the lap. That was really where they were able to outclass everyone else. So, what's my thoughts on the V10s? We discussed this on the Missed Apex podcast. I think a lot of it, I do think a lot of this bring back V10s stuff is, while I kind of would love to see V10s back with synthetic fuels, and if you've never experienced the old F1 cars, watching F1 back in like the early 2000s or mid 2000s and the 90s and stuff, hearing a roaring engine, a non-hybrid engine, was a thing of beauty. That's F1 for me, truly. Like, that's what I associate F1 with, and it's just such a great noise, and we'd love to have it back. That the hybrid engines, the drivers don't particularly like the hybrid engines. You can go and find on YouTube plenty of comments from drivers who would love to have the V10s back or V8s back. Something with a bit more noise, something that's a bit more straightforward, more straightforward to manage. And yeah, I think ultimately though, I think it's point scoring by... I think it's clever for Mohammed bin Sulayem, and I don't often use that word when describing him, but it's a presidential year. It's a re-election year for the FIA president, and he has put this out there to try and claim some brownie points, I think, to try and get re-elected, I think, and maybe some arse covering for 2026, where they think maybe the 2026 regs may be an absolute shit show. So... and this gives them kind of a get out of jail card for, yeah, let's go back to V10s, you know. So, but more than everyone, hope you're well. Hope you're filtering in. I'm a bit early this morning. I'm a bit early, as those of you who tuned in very early with me will understand. So I completely misread when this was going to start. I read that this practice session was going to start at 3 a.m, but I looked at the on-air time of Sky Sports. That's when the TV coverage starts, not the actual practice session. So I was like 45 minutes early. Who needs Crofty when you have Stuffeyy? Thank you. You can't believe Jackie Stewart and Bernie Ecclestone outlasted Eddie. I know. That's life, isn't it, unfortunately. Good morning, Scoops. Watch Grand Prix and listen to you. It's great. I don't have to pay Sky £1 million a race. Understood why lower teams do loopholes like what top teams. Because if they don't, they may potentially not gain an advantage. So it's just that they're not able to implement it, say, the rest of the car, as well as obviously the top teams. So he's not coming back. Get MBS out, a real guy to be president. Well, yeah, who knows? I mean, I haven't heard anything in relation to who will be standing against him. That's the worry that I've got, is that no one will even stand against him. There won't even be an election. So, not that we have a say in it. It's all the world, it's all the motorsport governing bodies across the world who have a vote and a say. But no, Susie Wolff was just a rumour that was being floated about, and she squashed that. So it may be... maybe the head of UK Motorsport goes up against him. I don't know. There's clearly pushback within the FIA against Mohammed bin Sulayem. But whether or not someone actually stands up and decides to take that on, I don't know. We'll see. But the motorsport under the FIA isn't a happy place at the moment. I've seen the World Rally Championship drivers are not happy either recently. So, Grumpy, you saw a picture of the 2005 car next to a massive hybrid F1 car. The difference is shocking. It is mad, isn't it? It is an absolute mad. We showed that on stream before. I'll see if I can find that again to showcase how ridiculous these cars have got size-wise. Yes, they're the quickest ever in history, but they could still be smaller. And this is why we have issues of overtaking at a number of tracks now, whereas in the past we necessarily didn't, because of just the amount of size and room, just the amount of room these cars take up. There should be, I can't disagree with that, Trans-American. Yeah, I can't disagree with that at all. Right, that seems to be the genuine consensus across many F1 fan. Let's have a look at F1 cars comparison. I'm pretty sure it was the Red Bull. I think it was a Red Bull car. Um, 2023. I think it was 2023 to 2009 or something. Where is it? F1 car comparison. I think it was Red Bull. I'm pretty sure it was Red Bull who did it out on track. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one. So that was their first ever F1 car. So that's the thumbnail. No. I do not want to get copyrighted. I do not want to get copyright strikes. Let me showcase this to you. But this is the image. This is their thumbnail. There. That's the size difference. That was last year. So that was Max's last year car. And then this, when did they first arrive in F1? That is the 05 car, isn't it? 06? Something like that. But these cars did not increase that much in size from 05 to like 09, 08. I think it was 09? Was it 09? Or was 08? I think the cars changed, didn't they? Didn't they change reg in 09? Yeah, because that was 09 was Brawn, wasn't it? Brawn, and then yeah. So I mean, yeah, Lewis Hamilton's race went, I mean, at the end of the noughties, basically. I mean, look at the size difference. And that's why when you look back at TV footage, I mean, when you go back and look at TV footage, specifically around Monaco, you see so many more lunges and so many more moves at Monaco. Not to say they pulled them off, but you see people poke the nose more because these cars are so much more lighter and nimble, and there's so much more room for them to be able to overtake into Rasgas, as an example. Monaco is always going to be Monaco, but other circuits, like the actual sense of speed that you got from these cars on the TV coverage is still the same as what you get now because of how small and nimble they looked and how quick they moved across the track compared to what obviously modern cars do today. So that's why we have the issue of overtaking at certain tracks. Like, we never used to have issues of overtaking at Spa. Never. And now we turn up at Spa and we struggle to see overtakes, which is mad. There's tyres, of course, that is taken into consideration as well. But I mean, yeah. Right. But there's a great video of like at Monaco. I think it's just Hamilton on board Monaco, and it was, I don't know what year it was. It might have been like 2010 or something. So the cars were slightly bigger, but only just in them. Still considerably smaller than now. And it's just how much more nimble they look is so great. It's just so great to see. And the moves. The reason why they're big now is because they just need to be as fast. Yeah, well, the FIA have got bogged down in the fact of that, understandably. I get it. They want to be the fastest cars. They need to be the premier of motorsport. Because the LMP1s got to a point of being as quick as at certain circuits around... got to be at a point as quick as F1 cars around certain circuits. And there's an ego thing. There's definitely an ego thing. But that's not the case now because hypercars are not as quick. You don't have to worry about IndyCar, completely different circuits. You don't have to worry about Super Formula. So they can dial that back now because the LMP1s are a thing of the past and hypercars are nowhere near as fast as an LMP1 car. So they can start dialing it back, shall we say, size-wise, which is what we all want. And they're kind of heading in that direction. 2026 is slightly smaller, but it's not good enough. So, but overtakes are just DRS assisted now these days. Yeah, exactly, Arjun, and that's why they're looking to the new regs is all about active aero, isn't it? Like through the corners, you can adjust your aero package through the corners, your front wing, your rear wing, so that you can get a decent run. And also, I think there's a push-to-pass system coming into play, isn't there? I need to really brush up on my 2026 regs, but that's something to do in the winter break of this year. I'll do that in the winter break of this year. I'll do a crash course on the 20 or a deep dive on the 2026 regs. But yeah, there's a few different. Does size matter? Depends who you ask, Swan. Depends who you ask. Push to pass. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with push to pass. Makes things a little bit more interesting. But then again, see, now this is where I'm thinking, this might be a negative. I like the concept of push to pass. However, unless it's in the regs that everyone is going to be able to, but because let's say, because the TV coverage, right? Us as fans, we need to know how many teams have push to pass available, right? Or how much they have left. So push to pass, if you're unaware, guys, it's a concept that is primarily used in IndyCar and in Super Formula, and it is basically you get a limit of time. So in Super Formula is the best example. I don't know exactly in IndyCar. I'm sure someone will clarify for me, but in Super Formula, there's over the duration of a race, you get 200 seconds of additional power to your engine. And you can use that as and when you like throughout the race. You can use it all at the start of the race if you wanted to, or you can use it all at the ends, wherever. However, once you stop it, so say you use it for 10 seconds and you stop it, you have a 100-second recharge time. Now, I'm not sure if this is how they're going to implement it in F1, but there's a strategy behind in the car how much push to pass each driver has. So you need to decide, especially if you're in the car in front, okay, do I use my push to pass to defend here? And then obviously the driver behind, do I use it to attack? You believe the push pass system is going to work the way in other series. It's the same as DRS, as in within 1 second you can use push to pass. Really? Is that how they're going to use it? This is what I mean. I need to do some deep dive on this. I'll do it at the end of the year. There's no reason to really spend too much time on it now, guys, or maybe in the summer break I will. But okay, well, if that's the case, then what my point was going to be is, in the past, F1 have shown us, like, when KERS initially got introduced, which was kind of similar to a push to pass system, we could see as fans how much this additional power and KERS was being used and how much the drivers had stored, because it was electrical power that was additional electrical power that was being deployed. It's just before DRS got introduced, and then the teams kind of kicked up a fuss that everyone was able to see that information, and then us fans then didn't know how much KERS they had available. We only kind of ended up knowing whether it was turned on or not. And the TV and obviously the teams on the pit wall have access to the TV coverage like we do. So yeah, I'm not sure how. I mean, if it is a 1 second thing, I don't know how it'll work out. But yeah, I was thinking that if that is the case, and we don't know how much, and the teams don't know who's got push to pass or not, that probably won't last very long with that being shown on TV, because they'll want that hidden. So from us fans and from themselves. So yeah. Hey Swaggy. Party mode scenario 7 for the win. Super Formula Push Pass is great and it has a cooldown. Yeah, I like it as well. Is there only one free practice this weekend? Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Anthony. Welcome, buddy. So, if you're unaware, it is our first. It's only the second race weekend of the year, and we already have a sprint race weekend, and it's going to be very interesting. So, why is it going to be interesting? Well, sprint race weekends are always interesting because they only have one single hour to dial in their setups. Now, with the new format, which was introduced last year, which is a much better format, they are able to change their setups after the sprint race tomorrow in between qualifying. So no longer are they just dialed in for that setup throughout the duration of the weekend. So they have an opportunity to gather data throughout the sprint race and then make changes to go into qualifying tomorrow afternoon. Their time anyway, not my time because it's early morning. So not only does that make things interesting, as it is also only the second race of the year, but Pirelli, there's a new resurfaced track at Shanghai Circuit that Pirelli have not been to and taken into account when forming their compounder tyres for this race weekend. So we have no idea what's going to happen in relation to those tyres on this track this weekend. It could be carnage like it was in Istanbul, Turkey, when we just saw no grip at all and the drivers were slipping around all over the place. Or it could be completely boring and the tyres just last forever. They don't degrade. Or the tyres could just completely degrade. Who knows? But generally speaking, if they've put a good track surface down, then there should be more grip and the tyres shouldn't really degrade as much on a used surface. So we'll see. But there is no rain for this weekend. It is a dry race. Hallelujah. And yeah, we should get a good idea of a better and more truer indication of where the teams are positioned. Albert Park is always an outlier, even in dry conditions. Of course, we saw McLaren definitely excel there, and they had a very ominous pace advantage over everyone else, and I'd suspect that still to be the case here this weekend. But we will see. Right, let's see if the live data is available yet. I'm not sure if it is. I'm waiting for it to go live. We haven't got anything yet. Just waiting. Surprised, actually, it's not gone live yet. Oh, it has gone live. There we go. Bosh. Just setting this up, guys, and we can get cracking. Why is Martin Brundle still going on about Lewis Hamilton's radio messages from last week? Get over it. We've heard a lot worse over the radio. He still said please. So, he still had some manners. Yeah, I'm here. Don't worry. We're ready. We're ready to rock and roll. There we go. So, someone asked, will we see push laps here today? I think we will. I think we most definitely will, because we only have 1 hour. And I think the teams will want to ascertain how these tyres are handling here this weekend. They'll want to know, are these tyres similar to Albert Park? Can we manage these tyres throughout the duration of the lap? Is there going to be a fall off at some point? Now, the tyre that takes the biggest battering round here is normally the front left. And I think we will see... some push laps, hopefully. We normally do, because because they've only got an hour. But, I mean, who knows? Who knows what we're going to see? Agile Western Stroll? No. Right, so I'm going to say this, right? So I did do my driver ratings video for the Australia Grand Prix. Thank you for everyone who tuned into it. I do appreciate that everyone had already moved on to China this week and wasn't still really thinking so much about Australia. But I wanted to get them out nonetheless because I do want to be a bit more on top of getting those out sooner in the week after race weekends. But basically, so many people have been jumping on Liam Lawson, on the rookies, after one bloody race. Like, oh my God. Like, just chill, guys. Just absolutely chill. You do not judge a driver after one single race in conditions that we haven't seen at a circuit like that, let alone the opening race, since 2010. Since after one corner. Oh, Taco. Oh. But do you know what I mean? Like, I'm already seeing articles from ESPN and like Sky and things like this going, when will Red Bull replace Liam Lawson with Yuki Tsunoda? When are they most likely to replace Liam Lawson? Like, calm down. Calm down. Like, yeah, I think people forget he had an interrupted weekend at a circuit he's never raced at before. Even turned a single lap at before he'd even arrived there that weekend. Missed completely the Friday practice into quali. Yes, he should have still done better, you'd expect, to get through to Q3. But cut, and these other rookies as well, like, yeah, cut them a bit of slack. Tricky conditions. Yes, they deserve a lower ranking because they still ultimately ended up crashing out when they did. But yeah, like, you don't judge a driver over a single race. Even Lewis Hamilton. Like, oh, it's mad that how people just jump on it. I get it's all rage bait. It's all rage bait and clickbait, isn't it, to try and drive up engagement and stuff. But I'm surprised I'm seeing the reputable websites and publications doing that as well. It's just, yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan. Judge the guys after... Judge all these drivers after 6 races. Really? That's a better indication. Not one driver has ever raced in Aussie GP in the wet, let alone rookies. Yeah, exactly. That as well. That as well. The one driver who should be getting the most flack. The one driver who should be getting the most flack, or most drivers who should be getting the most flack, are the most experienced ones, in Sainz and Alonso. I still don't buy that Carlos Sainz had a torque spike and it was due to something within the engine under safety car conditions. No, that torque spike just coincidentally had to happen at the moment your left rear hit the middle white line of the road markings. Yeah. And then Fernando Alonso just didn't cover that curb as much as he was done in previous laps and what he should have done there. So they're the drivers who should have had more criticism or more flack rather than at the rookies. But it's easy, isn't it? It's easy to go at the rookies and they have less of a fan base to kind of support them, I guess, compared to Alonso and Sainz. But just shows that everyone makes mistakes. And even the most experienced drivers can end up making mistakes in those conditions. So you crashed out last weekend. It was too early in the morning. Surprised you're still awake now, Johnny. Fair play. Thank you for tuning in, though, buddy. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We have over 300 people. I've just seen how many people were here watching me waffle on at this ungodly hour in the morning. So I appreciate you all. Let's just show you. Where's that? There we go. That's what we want. 8 minutes until it gets underway, guys. Practice session. So yeah, it's going to be an important one. It is going to be an important one. It's going to be a good kind of indication of who's on the ball pretty quickly. Here, as we said, only an hour to dial in the setup, and then we have sprint quali already in the morning. We'll be back in a few hours' time after practice to provide that to you all. But lots to keep an eye out on. How will Ferrari bounce back from last weekend? How will the rookies, as we just spoke about, bounce back? And how will McLaren do with that new technical directive that has been brought in so quickly? I've never seen a technical directive brought in so quickly. It's either Red Bull kind of getting what they want, I guess, from the FIA, or the FIA have absolutely crapped their pants and they have saw the gap of that McLaren earlier on when the conditions were drying out, that 20-second gap that people seem to have forgotten about, that McLaren pulled out on Max Verstappen before the Alonso safety car. Maybe they're a little bit concerned about that and they're trying to peg back that gap where they possibly can. I don't believe, as I said, don't subscribe to the idea that's the full reason as to why they had such a large advantage. But yeah, we've never seen this before, a technical directive introduced a week later, let alone, I mean, maybe the race later, maybe if there was a week in between races, yeah, because it gives the teams time to actually go back to the factory, create a new wing and ship it out. But for them to have this short of a turnaround, you've given them 4 days to turn this around. That's unbelievable. And these teams are on they're all based in the UK. That's ridiculous. So, praying for Ferrari. I think a lot of people are, yeah. So, but it is a bit ridiculous, and I do think there is. I know you may be a Red Bull fan, but I think the evidence is there to suggest that, like, Red Bull got 6 weeks to make alterations to their flexi floor last year. Now I know the floor is a bigger thing to turn around. It's like I've seen an F1. I mean, you'll see the images of an F1 floor that has been removed, but it's to give them 6 weeks to do that. Well, and actually, no, was it the floor or was it the wings in general? There was something that they changed and they gave Red Bull 6 weeks to do it, to turn it around. And that was from complaints from others. I just think there's a lot to suggest that Red Bull definitely know how to play the FIA. They do it, I've said this before, they do it better than anyone else. It seems to be the other teams don't really know how to play that game. And I think the only one who's kind of maybe clocking onto it is Zach Brown. He's the only one who kind of seems to go, you know what, I'm going to play Red Bull at their own game. And yeah, sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. So, Red Bull were the king of these regs. 2026 will have a different team. Oh, definitely Astral. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be... 2026 could throw up, I mean, an absolute... It could throw up a Brawn. I think we are genuinely in that scenario where, like, Stake F1 / Audi do hit the ground running. Like, it's just mad, and that's why the teams are putting so much stock in it. Maybe Williams go to the top of the timing sheets in the start of 2026. Who knows? North Rhiner Christian Horner, he loved it when Max was dominating the field, but as soon as another team beats them, he's all over them complaining. Like, yeah, I get it. No one likes losing at the end of the day, but they're just so much better at it than everyone else. That they're able to pinpoint where certain elements should be investigated. I guess the thing is, so I still remember this. I was fortunate enough to go to the Mercedes factory back in 2022. And it was just before they got rid of the no side pod concept. And I asked them there, and I went, why have you not protested anything on the Red Bull car? Like, it doesn't make sense. This happens all the time. Like, Red Bull do it all the time. They're protesting parts on cars. And why have you not done that? And I never realised this, but the guy went, well, you can't just, and it makes sense, you can't just arbitrarily protest something on a car. You have to have calls for it. So you need to be able to basically almost write an essay as to this part, we think it is in breach of this set of regulations as it's having this sort of advantage. And it all needs to link up. And he went, we don't know what is making them so fast. This is back in 2022. Which kind of sums up Mercedes' struggles in these regs, but it was like, we don't know what's making them so fast, so we don't know what they're doing wrong. Basically, we don't know where to protest. And I was like, oh, okay. Makes sense? Makes sense why you're so poor. So yeah. So Red Bull have a good understanding, and that's why the thing with the mini DRS thing, the flexi wings, it's been known for some time. You can see it on video images and stuff. So yeah, evidently it is still kind of a breach, but yeah. Are there any upgrades to the Ferrari this race? No, I don't think so. No, unless they've also had to change their rear wing to adhere to the technical directive that's come in for these flexi wings. That's it. But no, I don't think anyone's got any upgrades for the second race of the year. No. You don't understand the directive. Why not raise a static load as opposed to tightening the gap? Seems it would be more faithful to the original technical regulations. Yeah, I mean, I must admit, Stephen, it kind of goes over my head a little bit in relation to this whole what is required, what isn't required, you know. Something I haven't spent time doing a deep dive on. I've looked at it at a surface level. All I know is that gap is to come down under testing anyway, not under the actual load during a race, or under movement, shall we say, when the car's moving. A static load test, yeah, is supposed to be from 2 mil to 0.5. They do want it to be 0.25, but because it's on such short notice, bless the FIA, they've gone, we're gonna give you just a little bit. We're gonna give you another 1/4 of a millimeter to or 0. Yeah, a 1/4 of a centimeter to deal with. So, is it raining? No, it's blue skies in China. It's blue, beautiful conditions out in China. So yes, 30 seconds, guys, until FP1 gets underway. I can't believe I've been live for 45 minutes right now. I completely balls this up and went live way too early, but I hope you've enjoyed the idle chit-chat. So yes, here we go, Shanghai circuit. This is a favourite of mine. I do love this circuit, Shanghai. I'd love for it to be on the iRacing calendar so that I can get an opportunity to race here in open wheel. Yeah, it's a great circuit. I'm surprised, actually, it's not on iRacing yet. But yeah, it's a top circuit that provides great racing, and hopefully we'll get the same here again this weekend. Hey John, all the way from the Philippines. For me, that scrappiness is what I love about Red Bull and Max. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's appealing. There we go, green lights. And practice is underway. 1 hour is all these drivers and teams have to dial in their setups before we head straight into sprint quali. Of course, if you're unfamiliar, they are not locked into that setup for the duration of the weekend. They are able to change that setup after the sprint race, before qualifying, and then they are locked in again for the race on Sunday. So yeah, that seems to be a much better solution to what we've seen in the past, where they're locked in for the whole weekend. So yeah, let's see what is going to happen in this practice session. How are the tyres going to perform? That's really probably the key indicator, and that's what the drivers and the teams will all be wanting to figure out here on this really newly resurfaced Shanghai circuit that Pirelli have not been prepared for. They've stated the newly resurfaced track at Shanghai has caught them off guard, and they've brought tyres that just aren't specifically prepared for this new surface. How will they interact? That is going to be a key factor here. So we should see some push laps at some point. There's going to be a lot that these teams need to rush and get in and fit in this hour. It's 58 minutes now. So it's going to be a very busy FP1. And I'm sure we'll see some push laps at some point. But how many will be clean? Who knows? Because it's going to be a busy track. Love the long straight. Hope this track gets scanned by iRacing. Me too, Nick. Me too. Turn 1 just is such a great... Turn 1, that complex of corners from Turn 1 to Turn 4 is just such a great sector. Wonder how the tradition continues of waking up at once again in ungodly hour for Haas to bin it. Well, that's a key thing as well, is Haas. Was Australia just an absolute bleep show for them, you know? Or have they... Is it something that is going to continue throughout the season? Or do they have proper issues? I'm intrigued to see. For some reason, a Shanghai and Malaysia track occupy the same place in your head. Yeah, it's easy to kind of mistake the two, I guess. They're just both great circuits. I'd love to see Malaysia, also Sepang, back on the F1 calendar. That circuit was also had very changeable conditions as well. Like it was just such a great race. Also, off topic, AC Shadows is a nice game. I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game in years. I used to buy every single one every year it came out, and then I just kind of lost interest in them. Ghost of Tsushima is what I'm playing at the moment. You think Isaac will have a huge comeback this week? Yeah, I think everyone's rooting for Isaac Hadjar this week. Yeah, I think everyone is. I think everyone's just rooting for the rookies in general. Like to see them all do well. Like to see them mix it up where they should be mixing it up as well. So like Antonelli at the front, not making his way come from the back. Lawson up front. Hadjar right in the midfield, doing as well. Honestly, you love sprint weekends. We get an idea of the true pace of the cars on Friday itself. Plus, we get more racing. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of them from the initial get-go. However, I guess over, like many things, time has brought me around to the idea of them. They have got better. They've chopped and changed with how they implement them and. Sorry, how they implement them. How the format has worked when they were on the where they were positioned in the race weekend. We had both qualifying to start off with. Then we had like the reverse grid and all that. The race sorted out the grid for the Sunday, and they've experimented and they've figured out now on a format that I think is best. I'm not a fan of reverse grids. I just don't think. I don't really have any interest in watching a much faster car easily overtake the slower cars. And the slower cars are just going to move out of the way of those faster cars anyway. They're not going to fight tooth and nail when they know they've got a significant pace disadvantage. So I think reverse grids wouldn't be as interesting as what people think. Stream me playing Ghost of Tsushima? No, I've just recently bought myself a gaming laptop because I've been turfed out for the majority of times out of my sim rig because it's now little one's room. You can't see, but on the opposite side of the room is her cot. She's sleeping in our bedroom at the moment. I've turfed her out, but yes, for editing reasons and stuff like that, I had to buy a laptop, and I thought, I'll buy a gaming laptop because it's got everything I need to edit and. In the other room, and I can start playing games properly again as well. So, what is the pink padding? I think it's just a reiteration of the material that has to be used within the helmets. So, another regulation. Does this practice not matter, like which position you get in? So the position of where drivers finish in practice never matters. It never matters, and never take. There are times where you can take and look at drivers' finishing positions in practice to gauge a decent idea of where drivers are on pace for the weekend. But for the most part, no. You take where drivers finish in practice with a pinch of salt because they're running different fuel loads, they're running different engine modes, they are running different setups. Some of them might only run on medium or hard compound tyres rather than do any push laps, performance laps like quali runs. So yeah, there are times where you can and there are times when you can't, but for the most part it doesn't matter. So that's why, like driver ratings, I'm not taking into account how drivers get on in practice, and most other people don't as well when they do driver ratings, take into account what they've done on a Friday, because you could even crash it on a Friday or in practice and then have a great qualifying and a great Sunday. So, do I think there should be one qualifying session during sprint weekends? The qualifying will set the grid for both sprint. No. We just spoke about this. I think the format for the sprint weekends is right. They've got it in a nice sweet spot right now, and I like it. And I think we've seen some decent sprint races, and we've seen decent races on the weekends. So my issue with sprint races before was that the sprint race used to be just a preview of the first stint on the Sunday. As Albon's reporting, there's something loose around my pedals. Yeah, we ended up just having a preview of basically it was a dash. It was like a 1-lap dash to get into track position, and then after that the sprint races would fizzle out and we would not really see many overtakes. And it's a preview of the first stint on the Sunday. Now they're able to change their setups after the sprint race rather than them be locked in all weekend after practice, as Hamilton goes fastest in the first sector, FYI, 24.8. And Hamilton has won 6 times here. He's won most times out of anyone at this circuit, I believe, and definitely has the most wins out of anyone on this grid here at Shanghai. As Piastri takes that away from him, FYI, in the first sector. Oh no, Norris now takes that away, so the McLaren's going quick there. Norris, Piastri and Hamilton, 1, 2, 3 in the first sector. So Hamilton goes quick again in the middle. But yes, sorry, going back to it, is that we've seen last year where teams would gather data during those sprint races, they'd make changes, and where they were maybe necessarily a bit off the pace in the sprint race and sprint quali, they would end up being much more competitive on the Sunday. And we saw times where Red Bull also changed their setup, where they were dominant and they tried to seek more pace as Hamilton goes to the top of the timing sheet, so a 34.2, but I don't think that'll be for very long with Lando Norris going quite quick. We definitely saw, actually, Max Verstappen with a very quick last sector. Wow, that was a quick last sector. That was a very quick last sector. Hamilton's was a very slow last sector, a 41.2. Hang on, is that right? Lewis Hamilton had a 41.2 in the last sector. That's like 8 tenths slower. Did he back off? He must have backed off, unless he had a lock up in the last corner, or down into turn 14. That's very slow in the last corner. As you can see there that Norris went 7 tenths faster, basically 9 tenths faster than Lewis. So Lewis definitely error in the last corner. No, I think he just backed off. So yeah. It'd be very interesting to see where rookies end this weekend. Kimi has set a milestone of points for other rookies to catch up. Yes. Well, you expect Kimi Antonelli to... I expect really Kimi Antonelli to do better than all the rookies because he's had the most testing out of anyone. I mean, he's done more than double the amount of testing that Lewis Hamilton was able to do when he joined McLaren. And that was when testing was allowed for rookies. Now, of course, there's limits on testing, but he's covered more mileage in F1 cars than Lewis Hamilton did before he jumped in the McLaren. So, yeah, even though he's 18 years old, he's very experienced in driving F1 cars, and he showed that experience last weekend, and he's also good in wet conditions. But, yeah, I'm intrigued to see how he gets on this year, Kimi. He's kind of got a pressure-free environment this year, because Mercedes don't really expect too much this year. I think they're kind of they've been way off the pace for the majority of this regulation set, and it's all about 2026 for them. So this year is all about a year of Antonelli just probably, I guess, becoming familiar with the circus for his F1, and yeah, just getting competitive experience. It was a good drive for Kimi last week, yeah. Yeah, it was a very good drive as Piastri goes to the top of the timing sheets. Less than a tenth separating the two McLarens again. So I'm intrigued. I don't know why Lewis Hamilton had a slow last lap there, by the way. That last sector for Lewis Hamilton was slow. Where's the speed trap? Where was Lewis in that speed trap? 2.62, so it wasn't too bad. Did he have a lock up? I don't know. It's only practice, so it's not too bad of an indication. So, come on, Lawson, get a decent lap in, buddy. Get some confidence. Get to the top of the timing sheets. Get near to Max Verstappen so you can get some confidence in that car. Do I think Mercedes will try and build around Kimi or George in the future? I think Kimi. I think George is the one who's under most pressure this year. George is under serious pressure. I don't think he's had his contract renewed, has he, for 2026 yet? I think he has. I don't think he's had his contract renewed for 2026. So it's going to be really intriguing to see whether or not that gets renewed. So Hamilton fastest in the first sector. So let's see if he can put a decent lap in here. quite a bit of traffic to contend with. Antonelli up there, 8 tenths back. As I mentioned, guys, don't take these lap times too seriously at the moment because they're probably running different fuel modes, different engine modes. Just trying to understand the cars and these tyres primarily to see exactly what's going to happen come the sprint race and the race on Sunday as well. It's the only kind of decent point of, well, they can gather data from qualifying and throughout the rest of the weekend. So Hamilton going pretty good here. Looks like a time that will take him to the top of the timing sheets if he doesn't lock up into turn 14, that is. But drivers are improving here. So we are going to see, maybe with this new track surface, we'll probably see track evolution be quite key here. As yes, indeed, top of the timing sheets for Lewis Hamilton. That's a bit of a better last sector for him. But still 3 tenths off of George Russell in that last sector. That's intriguing. 3 tenths is a lot in that last sector. Wonder if there's maybe a bit more battery usage out of turn 14 and turn 16 being used by the Mercedes there to get a bit more acceleration out of the corners as George Russell takes that back and goes to the top of the timing sheets there. So yeah, we're starting to see lap on lap this track get faster and faster right now. So oversteer for Lewis on that fast lap, was it? I'm just watching it now. Yeah, bit. Yeah, he's getting on throttle. A little bit of a wiggle. Oh, that gravel on the outside. That gravel on the outside of the last corner, turn 16. God, it's so easy to push that, isn't it? So easy to just go over the edge there a little bit. No doubt we'll see drivers do that in qualifying. That's the corner where obviously Lando went off, didn't he? And he got his lap time deleted, but then he got reinstated last year as Lando's going fastest again in the first sector. So yeah, the McLaren's improving there. How's Lawson getting on? What are they doing with Lawson? Is Lawson just doing his own thing at the moment? Is he actually doing any fast laps, or is he just doing high fuel runs right now? Are they splitting the strategy, trying to get some data on Lawson? Devious gravel, yeah. From both race weekends, Hamilton seems slower in the straights than corners. Yeah, I think that's the reason Hamilton would be slower in the straights is primarily setup, especially at Shanghai, because yes, you could be down a little bit on pace if you don't now the corner from turn 11, but primarily with such a long straight down into turn 14, it's probably a wing change or a wing choice. Setup choice. Oh, Norris dived into the pits. He didn't want to set that fastest lap, did he? Cheeky. Such a tease. Lawson going to join Ricciardo? No. You think too many people underestimate how good George is on track, and also he looks like the type of guy to revel in playing team politics? Yeah. I mean, I think he'll have a decent year. I think he'll do enough to get into 2026, that's for sure. But it's whether or not it's enough for Mercedes. And do they want to spend all that money on potentially Max Verstappen, who would cost an absolute fortune? George Russell is a lot cheaper, as is Antonelli, of course. How would that dynamic of Antonelli, who is a very quick rookie, potentially, could we see an Alonso type Hamilton scenario where you've got the world champion who's deemed to be the fastest and then not necessarily, well, could potentially get shown up by a young hot rookie, rated rookie as he goes second fastest, you know? Who knows? George is a race winner and a top driver. He's very underrated. Oh, yeah, no, I agree. But it's whether or not he's a world champion. Do Mercedes see him as a world champion? But yeah, I think he'll do enough this year to get a contract extension. But it doesn't bode well for Russell that he hasn't had that signature, which clearly means on the contract extension, which clearly means that yes, they are keeping an eye out on Max Verstappen and they keep an eye out on the market. So Norris keeps edging the timesheets, I know. So we've already got drivers back in the pits. 42 minutes remaining of this all-important practice session here. And yeah, we will see whether or not these teams are they going to come out on a hard compound tyre, or are they going to come out on a soft? They're going to do some push laps as Hamilton improves and splits the two Mercedes there. So how are the timing screens right now? So Liam Lawson is slow in the speed traps, FYI, which clearly indicates to me that he's probably running a higher fuel load right now, and maybe a lower engine mode. He's not doing push laps and just going slow for the sake of it, FYI. He's quite down towards the bottom half of these speed traps. So yeah, they've clearly gone for a kind of getting some long run data here with Liam Lawson. That's how I'm interpreting that. Hey Spires, good to see you. Morning. You think 2026 regs Mercedes might come back and then see if George can? Yeah, I mean, that's what they'll be hoping for, that's for sure. The Mercedes engine. Many are hoping for the Mercedes engine to be strong in 2026. Of course, not just Mercedes themselves, but McLaren, Williams. I was going to say Aston Martin, but they're going to Honda. So yeah, there's a couple of teams that will be relying on that engine next year to be decent out of the gates. Your badge is green now, Raven. Wait, what? I think I've lost track. Is that 6 months? I think 6 months is 6 months of being a member. Thank you, buddy. I think that's what the green is. George Russell going fastest again in the first sector. So yeah, we're starting to see this track, a brand new relayed surface here, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just tuning in, thank you. Hit that like and subscribe button, guys. It's been much appreciated. We will be back, of course, with sprint quality this afternoon, and well, this morning for me, later on this morning. Early morning, and wherever you are in the world in a few hours time, and for every session this weekend. But yes, the track is really newly relayed, mixing the two words there, and it means that yeah, this track surface should theoretically get grippier and grippier as the track evolves, as more rubber is laid down. But as we mentioned, Pirelli had no prep time here. They didn't know that the track was being relayed, so these tyres, we don't know how they're interacting with the track surface at the moment. And maybe that's what they're doing with Liam Lawson. Maybe that's what they're using Liam Lawson for. He's definitely evidently doing some long runs, and they may be using Lawson to try and gather that all-important tyre data, just to see how these tyres manage over what would be a race stint or a stint. So where do I live, Bavia? I am just outside. I'm from London, basically, just outside London. Who do I think is the best rain racer other than Max and Lewis? From what we've seen in the past on the current grid, Fernando Alonso used to be pretty handy in the rain. I'm trying to think who's had some very decent drives in the rain. Interesting. I can't think off the top of my head. Hulkenberg's always been dab handy in the rain, you know. He's always been pretty handy. He's never done anything that's like amazing, but he always makes up spots in the rain, Hulkenberg. You don't see him make unbelievable overtakes. Esteban Ocon's very good in the rain. He's one who's a bit underrated as well. Whenever it's been whenever it's been conditions in the rain, he's always done well. Esteban Ocon. Yeah, Gasly's also dab handy in the rain. So obviously some are better than others. Stroll. All-time best in the rain is Senna. He's definitely up there, that's for sure. Yeah, definitely. Very different era. As I said, I don't like to compare eras across F1. Very different times, very different cars, different tracks. So Liam Lawson's finally come in. He's done 10 laps on those mediums. So yeah, I think he was definitely running some higher fuel there just to try and gather data for the Red Bull team, while Max maybe went just a little bit quicker. Antonelli has proven he's probably going to be the best non-Lewis or Max in the rain. I mean, it's only one race. It's only one data point at the moment, Daniel. But he definitely handled himself very well. He still spun the car. but that was more so with a misjudgment of track limits than it was actually driving in the rain. But yeah, there are drivers that you see from the get-go who just have a confidence in those conditions that others don't. And he definitely had that confidence. Even watching him in F2, you saw Silverstone, he drove off into the distance in that sprint race. And then it was Hungary as well, where he won the feature race, where it was changeable conditions, and he was very good there also. So yeah, some drivers just have that confidence and that knack in the rain. One great comparison was always when you saw it rain in Nico Rosberg compared to Lewis Hamilton. Nico Rosberg just was not comfortable in the rain at all, and he would always not necessarily fall all the way down the pack, but you could see that he was nowhere near the pace of Lewis. He just didn't have that confidence. Hey Mark, Gasly and rain, not too shabby. Yeah, I mentioned Gasly. Yeah, both the Alpine drivers are pretty handy. Didn't Hulk Bennett in the rain last time he had a chance for a podium? That was, yeah, Hockenheim. Yeah. But my point is that he still found himself in a podium position. Yes, because of some carnage, but because he was able to navigate himself through that race and find himself in those podium positions. And yeah, look, maybe he got in his own head that he was about to potentially get a podium and he lost those positions, but and eventually spun. But he always makes up quite a considerable amount of positions in those conditions. Last year, of course, he made the mistake in Brazil, but yeah, it was a poor weekend in general for Haas, wasn't it, at the weekend? But on the most part, I feel like he's pretty handy. He's pretty good. Why does the track look like a dog flexing its muscles? Huh? Not sure I see that. Do I think Bortoletto will stay for Audi next year? Yes, he's got a contract for next year. I think Bortoletto's got a multi-year contract. I think it's like a 5-year contract Bortoletto signed. So yeah, he's there for the long term. Unless they decide to break his contract or he gets bought out of his contract. But yeah, no, they really highly rate Bortoletto. They've got him there for the long term. The driver who would leave before him is Hülkenberg because of his age, no doubt. So yeah, Bortoletto will be there at Audi for a good few years. Rain driving requires experience. To be honest, that's also why Hamilton is so good at it. Yeah, you need experience, but that only comes from obviously driving in junior formulas and things like that, doesn't it? So knowing where the wet line is and translating that, it's all translatable as you make your way up the ranks into faster cars. So what's Antonelli going to come out on tyre-wise? Is he still on the medium? Looks like he's still on the medium. We've got 34 minutes left of this 1 hour, this sole practice session here this weekend, guys. Important as we've got sprint qualifying later on, then the sprint race tomorrow, then the main qualifying for the race on Sunday. So yes, really, I'm sure we will see at some point the soft compound tyre go on these tyres. On these cars, probably in the closing stages with some push laps. You're somehow awake for this, and it's 4:54 a.m. Fair play, Levy. Fair play. Yeah, thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me, everyone. Hope you are well and hope you're enjoying the stream. Continue to hit that like and subscribe button. I did see some subscribers come in, so thank you. I do apologise if I've missed them. Lou, thank you for the sub there. I get carried away with chatting with you guys. They aren't supposed to progress that much in the last year of this era of reg. So we saw a 1 second improvement in Albert Park this year. So they make this whole regulation set each year. The teams have been making, the cars have got around a second a lap faster on qualifying anyway. So Lawson's time is close to Verstappen as Antonelli's is to Russell. That's a fair point. Yeah, don't read too much into it at the moment. Lap times with Lawson. He was doing some long runs. He was doing some high fuel runs for sure. Like I can tell by just looking at his speed traps. There's no way that Lawson, even if he was struggling with a twitchy Red Bull, would be that slow in the speed traps compared to everyone else. So just woke up to watch this. I'm looking at all the times that everyone's watching. You're all over the place, aren't you? Some it's really early in the morning. Some it's a nice time in the afternoon for you. So yeah, I am your crofty this weekend, Mark. You're unable to watch any live footage as you're not in Europe. Count on me. Oh man, Mark, if you listened to my watch-alongs before, man, you're in for a treat. You're in for a treat. You love how just random points. I love it. I love hearing where people are from. It's always cool to see how this stream is like global. It's not just people from the UK watching it. It's like as last week, Australia. I was hence cue all the time people telling me what time it is where they are right now. Last week I really didn't expect to get the viewing figures that we did because it was early in the morning. I know it's the first race of the season, but I really did think a lot of people, especially in Europe, would wait until they woke up and just watched the highlights or something. But yeah, we got we've got a proper worldwide audience here. So yeah, thank you for everyone who's discovered the channel. Where can we even watch F1 live in the UK? What, actual TV coverage? The only place we can watch it live in the UK officially is Sky, because they have the rights to it. So hence why we don't get F1 TV Pro or F1 TV Pro here in the UK, is because those rights belong to Sky. So yeah, we can't get all those snazzy onboards and that, unfortunately. You're from Space Bunny. You watched almost all of my streams last week. Thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Lunchtime. Oh, I'm so jealous it's lunchtime for you. Oh, I'm not going to know what that feels like for a few more weeks. Already beat last year's pole lap, have we? I didn't see what last year's pole lap was. Was that a 132, mid 132 then, was it? Last year's pole lap. Interesting. So, at the moment, yes, it is George Russell at the top of the timing sheets, followed by Leclerc and Hamilton. But you can see there quite a margin between Russell and the rest of the field. Half a second to Charles Leclerc. So, George was on a bit more of a push lap compared to everyone else. Everyone else maybe running a bit more higher fuel loads or different setups. There's so much that they have to fit in an hour here. So, yeah, a very busy practice session. Liam Lawson has no doubt been running, as I could tell from the speed traps, that he was running higher fuel or a lower engine mode than most around him. So that's why he's down in 17th. Expect to see him move further up the grid before practice ends. But yeah, everyone's still back out there on the mediums, maybe with just some setup tweaks, just to try and ascertain maybe even what these medium tyres are going to do later on in the sprint race as well, because the medium tyre will be the tyre of choice. The soft just won't last long enough around here. It's my announcing that makes you better than the rest. Thank you, Stan. Yeah, it is always nice to because I do listen. I still work full time, so it's nice. I kind of listen back to my streams because I'm sad like that. But also, I look back to I critique myself. I look back at ways that I can improve the stream and make it more kind of seamless for you, and my own presenting and commentating. And it's nice to see the compliments, guys. Keep them coming, is what I'm saying. Compliment me more. I'm not someone who's shy of a compliment. Everyone used to be free to air on a TV, BBC or ITV back in the day. Yeah, I remember that, Alan. I remember when they'd have, on ITV, they would have adverts during the actual race itself. They would go to an advert break. That would be unthinkable today, wouldn't it? So, you can't get F1 TV in Australia for the same reason, although Sky Fit is on a streaming service and also free to air. Or at least it's free to air. But yeah, F1 TV definitely is very good. Very good. You always love my calls. Thank you. When did I start watching F1, Eddie? I started watching F1 when I think I was about 5 or 6 is like my earliest memory of watching F1. My granddad used to be a racing driver. He wasn't like top level back in the 60s. He just raced kind of regionally across the UK for a good number of years. And yeah, I got into F1 because of him. So... Fine, you'll say it again. I'm the best watch along with the best commentary, thank you. I know there's others out there that do it, but I always try and make things a bit unique here. And I try and be myself at the end of the day. And that's and you guys seem to like that, so thank you. What time is it where I am? It is... What is the time where I am right now here in the UK? It's just gone 4 a.m. Just gone 4 a.m. And I'm surprisingly awake. I did manage to get about 4 hours, just under 4 hours sleep earlier on. I will go and probably fit in another nap before the sprint quali, because I've then got a whole day of work ahead of me. I've got a busy day at work actually today. I've got some quite important things that I need to get done. So yeah, I will be finishing sprint quali and then going straight into sorting that out. Used to love listening to Murray Walker. Go, go, go! Yeah, he was great, Murray Walker. Assuming there's not another strategy issue, where am I thinking Yuki will finish? Top 10? The problem is with the RB car, you just don't know what RB car is going to turn up at the weekend. As we mentioned, there could be a complete change up of the order here at Shanghai this week. Albert Park, we've mentioned numerous times, is, to an extent, it's not really a representative track because it is a street circuit. The super hot conditions that we saw there last week, and of course then we saw the rain. But even prior to that, like, we saw the tyres not lasting until the end of the lap in qualifying, and even in dry conditions as well. And then you come to Shanghai and it's a proper GP circuit. It's a proper Grand Prix circuit. It's a proper race circuit designed for racing. Got a really newly resurfaced track. Newly resurfaced track. So who knows? Still expect McLaren to be up there, but the midfield order could completely flip on its head again. So, and especially with this technical directive, with the mini DRS thing, how much has that affected the teams further down the grid? Then more so that the teams up the grid. So yeah, I expect Yuki to still be up there because has gone well here. He went well last year until he got taken out by Kevin Magnussen. So yeah, I expect Yuki to be pushing for points again, but maybe not as high as a qualifying as what he saw last week in Albert Park. Here from the UK, been watching F1 for 33 years, just subscribe. Thank you, Jake. Much appreciated, buddy. And thanks for all the subs coming in, by the way, guys. I do apologise if I've missed the alerts. So, yeah, big thank you. I've seen that number go up, 36,285. I think I started at like 261 or something. So, yeah, big thank you. Who's going to crash first? Oh, who knows? Who knows? Hang on. Not sure. Right, Liam Lawson's back out there on the same set of mediums. We'll see if he can... maybe they've taken some fuel out of the car. We will see. But at the moment, yeah, just seeing drivers out there trying to get probably some high fuel run data. They won't be able to do the longest of long runs. Maybe 10 laps they might be able to fit in. 8 laps before they come back in. Maybe make any setup changes that they want. Take fuel out of the car. And then get out there and do some push laps. So yeah, I don't think we're going to see drivers. I don't think it's going to be long until we see drivers with 24 minutes remaining jumping in. I mean, every single car is out there on track right now. It's very busy. 20 cars out on circuit. So yeah, push laps incoming soon, guys, no doubt. Watching Senna as a kid when his car was bad and it started to rain, the whole of Brazil started to celebrate because we knew he would take over. Yeah. There are some drivers when those conditions are coming in, you're just like, oh, yeah, you know this is going to favour them. Your money is on Behrman to crash first again. Ooh, we'll see. I mean, the thing is at Shanghai, it is quite difficult to crash the car in qualifying. And kind of, shall we say, under your own steam, because it is a circuit that is got lots of runoff. And I say lots of runoff, like there is gravel, but gravel is in areas where it's designed to necessarily slow you down more so than where you'd see drivers crash. If drivers crash, it's going to be with others on the Sunday. How would the F1 cars go on a circular NASCAR track? Would there be lots of overtaking or would it be boring? It would be boring because the F1 cars would probably overheat very quickly. Norris isn't good right now. He's having lots of moments. I haven't really paid too much attention to the TV coverage. Yeah, I mean, what's the wind? The wind's kilometers an hour is quite. Hang on, Hamilton. Oh no, Lewis Hamilton, engineer. He's going. He's throwing off all these codes, and he's gone. Lewis just went. I just got 2 different messages right there. Oh no! Oh, bless Ricky. Is it Ricardo? Ricky, Lewis's engineer. Lewis was so confused. I was confused listening to it as well. No, I'm not going to do a poll for who I think will crash first. I think we all want everyone to finish. We want good racing from all the rookies, so... Schumacher was the rain master, except the one time he ran up in the back of Coulthard in Spa. Oh, yeah, I remember that. And then he went running down the pit lane, didn't he? Try and beat Coulthard up. Hamilton is also still learning the car. Well, that's what it sounded like. They were... He told him a number of corners, was telling him a number of, like, modes. But it was all a bit combobulated, whatever you want to say. Like, it was just, what? Shame Lewis couldn't take Bono with him to Ferrari. They were a great team. Love the hammer time calls. Yeah. But then the thing is, it also would have been the same for Bono. There's no guarantee that Bono would have made... I mean, I guess it might have been a bit easier because they'd be learning everything together at the same time. But Bono would have to learn all these codes and all these different modes and how Ferrari operates. The same as what Lewis is doing right now. So there's no... It could even be worse. It could be even worse if Bono was there right now, because Bono might not be able to relay the information that is necessary to Lewis, because he doesn't necessarily need it. At least the engineer that Lewis is working with right now, he's been there for years. He knows what is happening. There is a language barrier as well. We always knew that this was going to be a factor that Lewis would have to overcome at Ferrari. He's speaking in a language that isn't his first language, and Lewis doesn't speak Italian right now. So, yeah, I'm sure they will understand each other. Lewis will understand how Ricardo, is it Ricky, his engineer, likes to communicate, and vice versa. His engineer, Ricky, will understand what Lewis wants. So it takes time. Yeah, there's no... It doesn't... It sounds like the engineer doesn't take things personally, so... I'm right about Bono. Thank you, David. So... Stroll is overdue to cause a crash and take someone out. It's only been one race. Is it really overdue? Oh, big spin for Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc just spun the car. There we were saying drivers don't very, very rarely lose it under their own steam. Charles Leclerc just lost it into turn 2. Or turn 1, yeah. No, turn 2. What happened there with Charles Leclerc? Did he go in too hot? Did he go offline? Oh, dear. Interesting there for Charles Leclerc. Le spin. Patience is key, to be honest. And just like Williams, I think the potential is there for them to be a good contender as well. Yeah, so watching this spin by Charles Leclerc as he heads down into turn 1. What exactly happened? Obviously, it's a very high-loaded corner, turn 1. Your approach speed is very quick. Off camber. And there is there's a few twitches there. Yet, evidently, the left-hand side of the car there, the tyres just gave way. He saved the first twitch, and then he kept going around the corner, and it gave way again. So, yes, these tyres are definitely taking a pounding out there. That is for sure. And Leclerc had only done 12 laps on those tyres at that point. So, or 11 laps on those tyres. That's intriguing. That is very intriguing. These medium tyres maybe not lasting that long as expected. Too much wind as well. Oh, wow. Yeah, the winding. Wow, is that wind? That wind has just gone up 10 kilometres an hour. From about 5 minutes ago. Presence of Bonotto is scaring the Ferraris. You think Lewis is going to be quicker than Leclerc here this weekend? Well, you'd expect at tracks where Lewis feels comfortable at, that gap will be closer. So, but yeah, everyone's just... It seems like drivers are now coming into the pits potentially to put on some soft tyres, maybe make some setup changes, take fuel loads out of the car. But yeah, everyone who's out there at the moment has just been doing, other than the initial early push laps on the mediums, everyone's just doing high fuel runs right now. trying to see if there's any... Let me see if I can track something here, guys. I'll see about Lawson. So I can get lap time series, and I'll check up here. And let me just see something in relation to Verstappen. So... 38.2, 38.2, 38.3. So at the moment, on this kind of run of tyres, Liam Lawson is actually on pace with Max. So these long runs, which are these high fuel runs that they're doing right now, when they've been in clean air, that is, when they've not been held up by traffic, Lawson's done 38.0, 38.0, 38.2. Max has done initially some high 37s, then 38.3, 38.2. He's just crept into the 39s because he's had some traffic. So he's not actually that far off the pace, lapping quite similar on this high fuel run compared to Verstappen, which isn't too bad. Why doesn't FIA do tyre testing from all the different manufacturers at the end of the season and go with the best? It's not how it works. Not how it works, unfortunately. Kimi is blistering. Kimi's going all right. Yeah, 38.8. Although George Russell seems to have much better pace than Kimi, as to be expected at the moment, quite considerably as well. I'm not sure if Kimi's ever raced at Shanghai, though, has he? Because F2 doesn't come here, does it? F2 doesn't come to China, does it? Am I right there? Am I wrong? So I think this is a circuit for Antonelli and maybe some of the rookies have never been to before. So they can maybe be forgiven for that in regards to them taking to get up to speed. So it's called just contracts as well. Contracts and money. Who has the most consistent lap times at the moment? It's tricky to tell because it's been no one really, because it's been such a tricky because it's such a busy practice session. It's quite tricky to see who's got decent long run pace. I mean, it seems like the team, most drivers have only been able to really get kind of a couple of uninterrupted laps in. So. But drivers into the pits now. So we've got just under 15 minutes left of this FP1 session, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe button as always. And I sound like a broken record asking for it, but if you don't ask, you don't get. And we have basically everyone barring Lawson at the two McLarens and doing that at the moment, as Antonelli is reporting, I'm blistering the front left. Said that quite aggressively. Front left is gone. So yeah, the front left is the tyre that takes the biggest battering round here. Of course, a lot of load on that left-hand tyre as it is an anti-clockwise circuit. And yeah, we're going to see drivers get out onto the soft compound tyre with 14 minutes remaining, no doubt. Cheers, Inspiration. We'll see you soon. I reckon top drivers are not affected by new tracks. Lewis never had an issue, for an example. No, it's more so... Who's that? Oh, Lewis Hamilton just went deep into the pit lane entry. Yeah, I think it's a very different era of F1, though. That's the thing. Like, it's... These cars and the way these tyres perform now is very different to how it was in the past for drivers to get up to speed. As watching Jack Doohan through turn 3, what did he do? Jack Doohan has stopped. Yeah, Jack Doohan stopped. What's happening with Jack Doohan? Jack Doohan stopped. That's a mechanical issue. He hasn't lost control of the car down the straight there. That is definitely... It's got to be a mechanical issue down the straight for Jack Doohan, unfortunately. That's not ideal. Just seeing him struggle with the rear of the car for the first sector, and there's a red flag here at the end. Oh, goodness. Oh, my goodness. Okay. This has come at an absolute crunch moment in this session because teams, no doubt, were ready to put on their soft tyres and do some performance runs. Surely it won't take 12 minutes, 12 and a half minutes. Yeah, Jack Doohan's just pulled over to the side. No power steering to the Alpine of Jack Doohan. Oh, that's such a shame for Jack Doohan, man. Hopefully they can get that repaired for sprint quali. They've got a few hours to do it. But in relation to prepping for sprint quali, no one's done any proper laps on the soft compound tyre. We have no idea how this tyre is going to last over the duration of a lap. And yeah, let's see. Lawson getting screwed over every session. He should be getting experience in the car. Yeah. At least he's got decent laps in. He's down at the bottom, but he hasn't done a single push lap. Really, he's just done high fuel runs. So, but how will that affect him? He hasn't done a push lap again. He hasn't done a performance lap. He didn't get to do that last week. So, what's going to happen this time? Might be all down on the track. That is a fair assessment, probably. Yep, there could be. Power steering going could mean a fluid leak for sure. They should stop the clock under a red flag. Yeah, they don't do that anymore. I think they used to, but because they've got a schedule, they've got support series and stuff, they can't stop that. They can't stop the clock anymore. But that's a real shame for Jack Doohan. Quali will be wild for sure now. I know, we could see a potentially mixed up order in qualifying because of this. So even more unpredictability. I do suspect they'll get rid of that car pretty quickly. He was pulled off to the side. I reckon we'll probably maybe get 8 minutes. It depends if there's oil on the track, as you said. If there's fluid on the track, they'll have to sort that out. But yeah, recovery vehicle is there already, and yeah, it won't take them long. So, are they using mediums for SQ1 and 2? That is a fair point. I always forget about that. That's why they went out on the mediums first. Yes, that is a fair point. They will be using mediums on SQ1 and SQ2. So it's only SQ3 where they use softs. They need to work out their arms more. No more power steering. Skill issue. How's the missus going? Yeah, she's going really well. Is she getting excited so early in the morning? Or am I getting excited? I'm excited for these. She's not so much. She's like, oh, again. But no, she's actually excited for these watch-alongs. She's seen the growth herself, and she's very supportive. And I can't ask for more than that as well. So she's not a missus who's like, oh, why are you on the PC? Why are you doing it? Like, and the thing is that thankfully I have a fairly balanced life where I also want to spend time with my family, and yeah, I do this, and in turn I then am with her for the rest of her and the family for the rest of the weekend, and yeah, she loves it. I am the official live commentary Gion, however I pronounce your name, apologies. What's my real job? I'm a quantity surveyor. I work in construction. There we go, track clear. Okay, so 9 minutes. I did say about 8 minutes, didn't I? About 8 minutes until we go into push runs. So we are going to get time here for drivers to get out there, but it's going to be a bit of a dash probably, as lots of drivers heading to the end of the pit lane right now. Let's see if they do come out on softs. I'm sure they will do, because they won't want to use up. The soft compound tyre isn't going to be a race tyre for this weekend. It's only going to be used in SQ3 and then qualifying tomorrow. My TV coverage just stopped. Yeah, no, I mean, as I said, I've just bought a gaming laptop, and I was sitting out there last night on playing a game on my gaming laptop on the sofa while she was watching TV. So I have no interest in watching Emmerdale and EastEnders. Right, here we go. Drivers out there. Carlos Sainz the first one. Surely he's going to be on a set of softs. Go on. Yes, here we go. Soft runs. Here we go. This is where it gets interesting, guys. This is where practice gets interesting. You love that thing more than me. No, she's not like that, thankfully. Would it be enough time to replace the power steering in time for quali? Probably. I mean, it depends on the severity of the issue. But yeah, I presume they'd be able to sort that out and interchange things out that need to pretty quickly. They've got a good few hours until... I mean, when does it technically start? So it finishes at 4:30. They've got 3 hours. 3 hours to do it, so... We need to get me to 100,000 subs so I can get out of the rat race and do YouTube full time. That would be absolutely amazing, Scoobs, yeah. But getting to 100,000 subs isn't the be-all and end-all. It's kind of a vanity thing, really, 100,000 subs. It does help because it showcases to partners and sponsors that you've got 100,000 people that enjoy your content enough to hit the subscribe button. So that it is an indicator. But it's not the be-all and end-all. Viewership and returning viewership is the be-all and end-all, and your guys' support. So yeah, I do appreciate everyone who continues to tune back in and has enjoyed the watch-alongs and the sim racing content. Sim racing content's a little bit difficult to get in at the moment due to kind of these early mornings and just with the change-up logistically, as I've mentioned, with the little one coming in here. So not having as much time anymore, but it will be returning soon. Once we get rid of these early mornings for F1, I'll be able to do some at the weekend. But yeah, no, I appreciate you all coming back. But yeah, every single like, every single subscriber, every single member brings me closer to bringing this full time for you. I'd love to pump out some more F1 content for you, some more regular stuff, some more opinionated content and that, but just not feasible, unfortunately, compared to other channels where I just don't have the time. So, but at least I'm able to do these watch-alongs for you. That's what matters most. It's what I look forward to. I look forward to this all week. So, what makes one driver better than the other when it comes to tyre wear? Driving style. So they're able to go quicker for longer. So all these drivers can go quick over a single lap, but it's how much they can lean on a tyre. So when it comes to a race, how quick can you go? So when it comes to tyre wear, it's like how quick can you go while also not taking too much life out of the tyre. So that comes into regards to managing your steering for the corners, your lines through corners, the lift and coast, and your throttle control input as well. A lot of it can come into like how heavy you are on throttle, how aggressive you are out of some of the slower corners, and how much you lean on them through particularly like turn one. All of this translates into looking after your tyres better, and the likes of Hamilton, Norris, Verstappen, they're all very good at managing their tyres where others have not been. There's plenty out there who are good on their tyres, but some are better than others. Right, here we go. Push laps on the way. Let's see what these push laps are going to be. What did someone say? Raven, do I have a goal or dream of commentating for a big mainstream media company, or is this just a side thing? It would be nice to, I guess, in the future. It's not something I'm particularly seeking, as I said. I'd like to do presenting, I think. I'd like to do presenting. And if that bred its way into commentating as well. I do enjoy the commentating. Yeah, I really do. But at the moment, it's not really something I'm actively seeking. But I would probably maybe like to actively seek some presenting stuff in the future. But yeah. Firstly, you'll be able to watch me and the F1 live at the same time. I keep hearing about this on Map. Thank you, Wolf. Yeah, this is kind of just this is the chill session. We've got qualifying later on, and of course a busy weekend ahead where I get into kind of commentator mode. So yeah, they're the ones that you really want to tune into. FP1's just an opportunity for us to sit back, chat, and assess what's happened in the week, and assess maybe what we might be expecting for this weekend as Lando Norris splits the two Ferraris. Okay. Less than a tenth separating the two Ferraris and Lando Norris. That's a positive. That's a positive. The Macca does seem that good. It's super loose. It doesn't seem that good. Interesting. Interesting. Alonso up into P7. Liam Lawson. Some time to be found for Liam Lawson there. And for Max Verstappen as well, interestingly enough. Only a 1:33.2 for Max. He's on a better lap right now, and he's going green. But it's not going to be quickest unless he puts in some seriously mega last lap. Hamilton's quickest in the middle sector out of everyone at the moment. So we have 2.5 minutes remaining here, guys, and drivers are just trying to get their push laps in. Will they be able to get another one in? I think they should. I think they should. So it's an afternoon race in Australia. Oh, I love it. Make the most of it. You haven't got many more of those. Right, Jack Doohan. Yes, if you're just tuning in, Jack Doohan unfortunately had that issue, a power steering issue, which brought out the red flag very briefly. He's okay, just pulled the car over to the side. Max Verstappen into the pit lane. Interesting. So Max, maybe a quick setup change, maybe a quick wing change, or he's just not going to waste any more time. Alex Albon there as well. Lance Stroll moving up into 11th. Lawson, is he going to get another lap in, or is he coming into the pits? No, Lawson's going to get another lap in. Okay, right. Let's keep an eye on Liam Lawson then, shall we? Let's see how he gets on here. He's going for another push lap. As yes, Max is back out. So maybe just a quick, maybe a change of tyres for Max. No, yes, a change of tyres for Max back out onto the mediums. Just to get a feel, no doubt, for those mediums that will be used in Q1 and Q2. Sprint Q1, Sprint Q2, and then SQ3 is on the soft compound tyre. But let's see Liam Lawson. Get a bit of confidence, buddy. So, what we want to see, greens for him in the sectors. Hopefully he doesn't get an interrupted lap here. Lance Stroll is up ahead of him. And it is a 31.3 for the first sector for Liam Lawson. So he's not had a good. So he's gone off. He's gone off at the first sector. Okay, not good for Lawson. Not good. Had to bail out of that first sector by the looks of it. Did he bail out of it, or did he just like not even go that quick? I'm not sure, because Norris went 31. That's more like a 31.3 is more like another cooldown lap. That's what it seems like for Lawson. It's another cooldown lap. Interesting. Verstappen bailed the lap, did he? Okay. Yeah, another McLaren domination. You think? I think it's a little bit more even. You know, I think it's a bit more evenly spread. Yeah, that McLaren looks a bit more twitchier than it did in Albert Park. Obviously, a very different circuit here at Shanghai. So, does turn 2 have a runoff area? Yeah, there's runoff area there. There's runoff area, and then there is Lando Norris. The main opportunity is turn 8. Yeah, I know, that's so obvious, is what Lando replied, as he's just gone fastest in the middle sector. So, yes, clearly found some time in the middle corner there. Or the middle sector. As Piastri is also going quicker. So the two McLarens here are kind of topping the sector times here in the first and second sector. So barring a good last couple of corners, this will be top of the timing sheets and could be putting a considerable gap on the Ferraris. Oh my goodness. 6 tenths. What the hell? Okay, 4.5 tenths now as Leclerc went across the line there. Where's that time come from? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's okay. Lando Norris pole position. We had a bit of hope there, but it might be a bit close. But wow, that's a lot of time. I mean, who knows? There's still the caveat, guys, of high fuel loads. We don't know engine modes, battery modes, but that was, yeah, that was a driver who was on pole position here last year in the sprint race, of course, feeling very confident. So McLaren dominance could bore fans. It won't last the whole season. It won't last the whole season. Hulkenberg dominance could bore fans. It's still a second behind. But there we go, guys. That is FP1 over and done with. Lando Norris with the fastest lap at the end there with a 1:31.5, 4.5 tenths quicker than that of Charles Leclerc. The Ferraris are looking better, but are they? I mean, that is quite a considerable margin in FP1 to Lando Norris. But who knows if there's still a bit in their back pocket. I still suspect McLaren to be strongest. But can Oscar Piastri, who seems to have struggled a little bit more so than Norris in this FP1 session, Will he be able to look at the data that Norris has had, maybe go for the same setup? Will he be able to find some time? Who knows? But yeah, better from Ferrari. It's a better start from them. Red Bull, not looking too good on the soft laps that they did. I don't know if they were interrupted or not. I'm just watching Oscar Piastri, so maybe Oscar Piastri had an off for the last corner, which is why it was a bit slower. Oh, yes. Oscar Piastri basically ran for the gravel trap through the last corner, which is why he's so down on pace there. So, he's still in the top 3 of sector times, though. So, yes, I do think that Piastri has some in hand, but did seem to be a bit off of Norris's pace for the majority of this session. A real mixed bag, really. It's FP1. They had to fit so much into FP1. Who knows what the order is going to be in qualifying. Of course, SQ1 and SQ2, the first few qualifying sessions in sprint qualifying is conducted on the medium compound tyre. So who is better on the medium than necessarily the soft? That can also play a factor when it comes to the sprint qualifying and throw up some unknowns. But yeah, Verstappen and Lawson down towards the bottom there. Lawson, for the most part, for him, the positive will be that on the the longish run that they did, the high fuel runs that they did when Max was doing the same, they were very similar in pace. Lawson, if slightly off the pace of Verstappen, so much better for him. And then both of their soft runs looked like they weren't particularly great, so we'll see. But yeah, not long to go, guys. Not long to go until we go to sprint quali. Question now, do you go back to bed for the next 3 hours or try and stay up? Thanks for the commentary. Thank you, man. I'm going to try and get at least a couple of hours sleep. Yeah, that's my plan. So we'll see. If Lawson quali's there, it won't be good. Of course it won't be. Understatement of the year, Taco. It always baffles me when people say Max doesn't stand a chance, so I won't make top 3 this season. I guess they all missed last season where he outscored everyone after race 7 with second or third best car. Yeah, I mean, look, I still had him down in 5th. Primarily because I thought the Red Bull just won't be that competitive over the duration of the year, and that the Ferraris will pick up the pace and the McLarens will. But we'll see. It's looking better. It's already a better start to the weekend for Ferrari than it was last week, I think. Lots more positives for them. But the crux of it is going to be in qualifying, isn't it? It's going to be a good indicator to the weekend. But even if someone isn't particularly good in sprint quali, or the sprint race, doesn't mean that they can't make improvements for the qualifying on tomorrow afternoon and the race on Sunday. So, because they can change their setups after the sprint race. So, hour and a half sleep cycles, yeah. I think you're allowed to finish the lap you was on when time ran out, but not sure. Yes, you are. Yeah, as long as you cross and start your lap before the checkered flag, you're able to finish that lap. It's not like iRacing, where iRacing cuts off as soon as the checkered flag goes and the time runs out, that you're not able to complete that lap. So, yep. See you, Mark. See you later. Do I think Ferrari can win? No, not on pace alone. McLaren are still the quickest, but they could definitely be second best, and that's probably what they need to do right now. Is just try and be second best and close that gap to McLaren that you would think will happen at some point. And it's a very long season. It's 24 race weekends. We saw how the development can progress and change. And they could potentially close that gap on McLaren. So, and they need to damage limitation right now. Do I think Toyota Gazoo Racing will become Haas title sponsor in the coming years? Yeah, I think their technical partnership with Haas is them dipping their toe back into the water of F1, and it wouldn't surprise me if Haas gets bought out, and becomes Toyota in the future. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Norris is going to win by 20 seconds. It wouldn't surprise me to see that, Arjam, to be honest with you. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. But there's still lots to be interested in for this race. And look, Piastri, he'll be looking for a strong showing this weekend to respond to, obviously, that costly mistake last week at Albert Park. And he'll be wanting to close that gap that is already quite sizable after the first race to his teammate, who is probably his closest driver championship competitor. So, good couple of years to be a McLaren fan, yeah. So only lifetime in Cheyenne. Cockpit cooking with a green tractor. Yeah, did well. Right, guys, that's it for me. I'm going to go get some well-needed rest. I'll be back in a few hours' time at 7:15 UK time. You can go check that out. The live stream is up and ready for you to go and wait in. You've got a waiting room there. Go wait there. Leave it open, and we'll see you in a few hours' time. I'm going to make sure I'm try and get some more rest. before sprint quali and before my working day starts. So yeah, thanks for all the subs as always, guys. Sorry if I've missed any of them and not named them out. I do appreciate them all. Regardless, continue to hit the like button, and we'll see you in a few hours' time. See you then. Bye.